Do you struggle to build effective promotions? Well, if so, I'm going to show you in this video 6 tried and tested strategies to help you build promotions that absolutely work. Now, if you've not met me before, I'd like to say hello. My name is Paul. I'm an accountant, I'm a CFO, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've got over 25 years of experience in helping businesses to grow profitably. Now, if that sounds interesting and you think I might be able to help you, do please subscribe to my channel. You find the link below. I post new content every week and I'd love to be able to share it with you. Okay, so let's get back to building effective promotions, something I'm asked about time and time again. Because the reality is, in my experience, most businesses adapt, a scattergun approach to promotions. They'll come up with promotions which may or may not drive sales, but often they don't drive profit. And at the end of the day, profit and cash in the bank is what it's all about. And so let's just take a few minutes to think about how we can improve things. Okay, so before we dive in, I just want to say that the strategies I'm going to talk through now apply to whether you're selling either goods and products, but also services. So it's relevant for pretty much any kind of business. Okay, before we dive into the tips, there's 2 pieces of information that you need to work out up front, because if you don't, you're going to struggle from the offset. The first is you need to understand what I call your starting profit margin. And what I mean by that is, do you know how much money, how much profit you're making from selling your goods and services at the moment? That's really your starting point. You need to know that at least overall for your old business, but actually if you know it by unit, so if you look for a particular period, whatever you happen to have sold, services or goods, look at how much profit you've made in total, perhaps for that month or that period, divide by the number of units you've sold. That profit per unit is really your starting point, because that's going to help you understand how much money you can afford to give off when you're with your customers, even designing promotions, and still make money. If you don't know what your profit is to start, you're never going to be able to build a promotion that's going to deliver you profit, because what you'll find is you'll probably end up giving money away and actually not making anything. So that's the first thing, to understand that starting profit margin. And if you don't know how to do that, I'd suggest your accountant can probably help. The second thing that you need to know is, what's the objective of your promotion? Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, isn't that obvious? I'm running a promotion to make more money. Well, maybe, but that's not always the case. Let's look at some examples. You might be running a promotion because you want to build your customer base and get a load of new customers. In which case you might decide that you're prepared to make less money on the first purchase because they're going to come back and buy again. Or it could be that you do want to generate some sales and some more profit, which is why most people run promotions. It could be you're trying to drum up business at a quiet time of year if your business is seasonal. It could be a kind of promotion where you're trying to drive repeat business, in which case you might want to run a special deal just for your existing customers, which they will love because they'll feel more special. And actually the mechanics of that promotion might then be different. It could be you're running a promotion to drive up spend. When people are buying something, when it's in their shopping basket online, how can you get them to spend a little bit more? That's what the supermarkets do, and they'll put the Mars bars right by the checkouts. They're doing that to increase the spend at the last minute. That's another very good way of driving profit. Usually when a customer's in a spending mode, so that can work very well. Or it could be that you might want to just generate cash. It could be that you've got a load of stock stuck in a warehouse or in a back room that you just want to get rid of because you've got money tied up in it and you need to release that money. In which case that promotion can look very different to whether you're just trying to do something else to build profit, because actually you've already spent that money and you just want to get some back. So as you can see, there's quite a few different reasons why you might want to run a promotion, and actually you need to understand what's your objective, because the type of promotion you build will be very different depending on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so that's the 2 things you need to know up front: your starting profit margin and the objective of your promotion. And before we go any further, I want to throw it back to you. Do you know how much profit you're currently making in your business? I'd really love to know. And if you don't, by the way, don't feel bad, because most businesses I speak to, particularly startup businesses, really don't have a handle on this. So it's no problem if you don't, but it's something that you need to start thinking about. And I'd really love to know. So do drop your comments below. And yeah, that would be really interesting. I'm sure we'd all like to hear from you. Okay, so I promised you some strategies to build effective promotions which will drive profit, and I'm going to give you 6 tips which you can use very easily to make sure that you do that. Okay, you've probably gathered if you've seen other videos, I do like lists and I like steps. So here we go, straight into the list. And tip number 1: to build an effective promotion, it needs to be a win-win. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is it needs to appeal to your customers and be seen as a win in their eyes, but it also needs to work for you and deliver your objective that we just talked about. So, for example, I'm sure you've all seen examples of what I'd call dud promotions. One of my favourite dud promotions is you go into a shop and they give you a little card, and it's like, if you buy 10 things from me, whether it's cups of coffee or whatever else, I'll give you 1 free. And it's like, well, okay, so what you're saying is I have to buy 10 things, come in 10 times, and then you'll give me just under 10% off. It's like, oh, okay, that to me, that works for the business in the sense that you're not giving much money away and you're still making a profit. And it might work if you've got customers coming in, almost every day, because you might get more repeat business. But from a customer point of view, that's a pretty dud promotion in my opinion. I'll probably get loads of comments now about how wonderful it is, but that's my thoughts on it. So that's what I mean by saying a win-win. At the other extreme, it could be that you're giving, 40% off your, everything you sell, and from a customer's perspective, wow, that's incredible, 40% off. Yeah, but I'd be really surprised if any business is making money giving that amount of money away on everything. So that's what I mean about striking the right balance, having a win-win for both you and your customer. The promotion has to be attractive enough to make your customer buy stuff from you, but it also has to work for you. Okay, and when we talk about value for a minute, in the customer's eyes here, value doesn't necessarily mean money. What we're talking about actually is perceived value. So what do I mean by that? Well, you might, for example, give something away free that to you might cost, a couple of dollars, but in the customer's eyes, that might seem like, worth a lot more money. We all know the likes of, perfume brands, and cosmetic brands that do that. You give you a free gift with purchase, which actually, you can bet the cost of that is very low, but from a customer perspective, it's very high. So when you're thinking about a win-win situation, think not just about what you're giving away in absolute monetary value, but think about giving the customer the best perceived value as an offer, and those two aren't necessarily the same thing. Okay, so that's point number 1. Okay, point number 2 to build an effective promotion, and I've alluded to it a minute ago. Whatever you do, avoid shop-wide, site-wide promotions. 20% off everything, 30% off everything. Those kind of promotions are not smart, and they will absolutely kill your profit. It's really interesting because I'm sure we've all seen these kind of promotions. They're relatively common. But what I'm suggesting is, I'm not saying don't give money off, don't give 20% off or 30% or whatever the figure is, but what I am saying is you shouldn't do it on everything. Do it on a specific, range, stuff you're selling off, a special purchase. That way you're limiting the amount of, the impact to your profit in terms of lost sales. And actually, the chances are you'll get someone in, to your shop or on your site and buy something on a promotion, but then they may well buy something that's full priced as well, particularly if you're quite smart in the way that you sell things. And that kind of promotion can actually give you much more traction and much more profit if you target specific items, lines, services, rather than shop-wide or site-wide promotions. In fact, the only time I'd probably say you want to do a site-wide or shop-wide promotion is if your business is going out of business and you just need to liquidate all of the stock, which is a situation that none of us want to be in. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3. Okay, now I call this, this isn't perhaps the most polite language in thinking about customers, but when thinking about your promotional strategy, I believe that you are actually, whether you want to or not, you're training your customers. They will learn what your business is and how often you go on promotion and how often you give money off. And that can work to your advantage, or it could work to your disadvantage. If you're the kind of brand that routinely has 20% off every month you've got something going on, and then you're off sale for a smaller period, customers won't buy when you're off sale because they'll think there's another promotion coming down the line. A good example for this, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure you all know companies like this. In the UK, there's a very well-known kitchen supply company, and they do really lovely kitchens, but they always have a sale on, and it's always like 40% off, ends this weekend. And we see it also with like furniture. We all know furniture retailers who do the same thing. Bargain bucket, this weekend only, save 40%. They're always huge amounts of money off, by the way, which means they've just artificially jacked up the price to start with. Let's be honest about what it is here. But because they do that, they've trained their customers to think, I'm not going to buy anything unless it's on sale, because there'll always be a sale, so I might as well wait. And so what you end up doing in that situation is you're really hurting your business. You're actually you have to inflate the standard price because you've got to give money off, and it all feels a bit false, and people aren't stupid. People will see right through that. So think about how often you're on sale, because that's going to impact how well you can run a promotion effectively. And the other thing is, connected with this point about how often you go on sale, think about seasonality and using promotions to complement that. So what I mean is, for most businesses, whatever line of work you're in, there will be times in the year where people are more in the market to be buying your goods and services, and times when there aren't. We all know, for example, selling goods to customers, running up to Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays, people are in the market to buy it as it is. So therefore, the kind of promotions that you need to run, probably you'll need to give less away than you might do in, say, midsummer when nobody is shopping, in which case you might need to do something out of season that's a little bit beefier in terms of money off, because you're trying to boost demand when demand is low. But when demand is naturally high, you need to be thinking about the kind of promotions you're running, and actually you can usually end up giving less away. Now, just one point to this, particularly thinking about the holidays, we've all seen the likes of, how retailing has changed. So apologies if you're not a retailer of goods for a minute, but we all know that the power of Black Friday and the need to, or the perceived need to do sales. Customers are now quite savvy and will potentially buy early for Christmas if there's an offer on, and you do kind of need to go with that a bit, because at one point is you need to keep an eye on what your competition is doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to give money off, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to give a load off. You have to be giving value to your customer. So think about that. So that's something which is important. So that's really the third point, thinking about seasonality, natural demand, and how often you want promotions, and what that's training your customers to do in terms of their behaviour. Okay, that's point number 3. There's quite a lot in that point, wasn't it? I think I got a little bit carried away, but anyway, it's interesting for me, so apologies if that was a rant. Okay, point number 4. A percentage discount and percentage off is not always best, okay? And when I say not always best, I would say it's most of the time it isn't the best kind of promotion. In some ways it's comfortable for all of us, because that's what, as consumers, we're used to seeing most often. But actually, what resonates very strongly with customers is hard cash, money off. So instead of giving 20% off, if you can give $10 off or $20 off, actually you might find that's giving less away than the percentage. But in a customer's eyes, that's really, people can get their heads around real cash, whereas around percentages, most people actually don't really understand. So that's something to think about. So hard cash off really works. And the other thing that really works is the magic word free. Good grief. I don't mean you give the products free, but what I mean is we talked about cosmetic companies and gifts with purchase, where you're giving something away free. That is a really powerful offer. One of my clients a while ago was quite a well-known slipper company. And they didn't want to do anything around Black Friday because they didn't want to be discounting. So they came out with a free pair of quite snazzy socks with the slippers, and that offer flew. And the price of the socks was frankly peanuts compared to giving money off of what were quite expensive slippers. And that promotion really worked because of the word free. So I think what I'm saying is think a bit out of the box in terms of the kind of promotions you're running. Percentage money off isn't always the best way to go. So let's just think about that as you go forward. Okay, tip number 5, to make your offers most attractive, you need to make them time bound. So what I mean by that is they need to be limited. Where you limit an offer, it spurs people into action. Like for this weekend only, you can save, over the next week, if you do this, we're only giving to the first 100 customers, you're gonna get this off. Anything where you can limit the offer, whether it be in time or the amount of money you're giving off or the number of customers you're giving it to, has a natural effect of boosting people's likelihood to take up that offer. Otherwise, they just think, oh, that sounds quite interesting. Oh, maybe I'll wait. And the more you can do that, the better. If you're, for example, if you've got a web business, you might be selling online, and you send out an email. If you can put a countdown clock within that email, wow! In terms of the take up of those offers, you will find is much higher because it spurs people into action as opposed to thinking, oh, that's interesting, I'll think about it and maybe I'll come back to it later. Because we all know the reality is, and we'll do it ourselves, most people don't really come back very often. So that's the 5th point. And then the 6th point, which might sound dull, but to me this is the key to everything, is that you need to monitor your promotions as they're running, monitor the uptake of them and adjust them accordingly. Don't just think, oh, I'm going to give money off for the next 2 weeks, and then at the end of the month after the promotion's finished, look back and think, oh, that didn't work very well. Be on it the whole time. Look at how many things you're selling. What's the uplift been? How many of these things would I normally be selling? How much more income have I got? How many more have I sold? And if it's not working, shake it up a bit. Think, oh, that promotion's not working. We'll give an extra $5 off, or we'll do this, or we'll put another item into the promotion. That's really when, a lot of people think designing a promotion and getting the materials printed or designed on the site is, that's all you need to do. But actually, that's really when the hard work starts. When you start the promotion, look at what's happening and monitor it and tweak it accordingly to make sure it works. And then connected with that, once it's done, do like a little wash up on it. Look at, sit down and think, how did that work? Did that work for me? Didn't it work for me? What kind of people took the offer up? Did it achieve what we expected or not? And record those learnings so that you know next time when you're thinking of doing promotion, which ones worked and which ones didn't. Then you're capturing that learning and you're really building on it. So that, it might sound like a dull point, but that is really the key to successful promotions, the constant monitoring and adjusting. So there we are, 6 tried and tested steps that will help you build killer promotions. I hope you found that helpful. There was a fair bit of detail in there, so to make things easier for you, I've actually got a free fact sheet below where I just kind of summarise the points we've talked about. So if that's helpful, feel free to download that and think about how you can start applying those to your own business. And on a connected point, I have another free fact sheet. I'm all about the free fact sheets. One of the big things I like to focus on with businesses is helping them increase their cash flow, because at the end of the day, Cash is the lifeblood of every business. So I've got a 10 surefire steps to turbocharge your cash flow without selling a penny more. And that's also available via the link below. So hope those are helpful. Do please download those if they're helpful. And if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to my channel to get the first updates for the content I'm putting out there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Really enjoyed talking to you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.